Hey yo, what's good? What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another video, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, put down that post notification bell, set it to all that good stuff, man. Watch my ads, cause we back now. We back. Oh, I'm excited to be back, y'all. Y'all gonna see a lot of content drop here, real soon. I'm already posting this video, so look, let's just go ahead and hop into it. As you my title video, man, we're focus on might-based DPS. I'm gonna get super speed, not super speed like I normally do. I'm gonna give you different scenarios for different encounters. Now, because it's an AOE might-based loadout, this is more for the ads, okay? This is more for you going in the hallways, different encounters, not mainly for the boss fights, but you can use it for those mass group boss fights, like when you're in the source wall, fighting all the different Batmans, fighting together, or you're doing like the prom run, all them other people together, or Phoenix Canyon, we find those Batman, like stuff like that, you could potentially use it for. But I'm gonna show you a few different things, okay? Without further ado, let's hop into it. Now the mods are pretty much gonna be the same standard ones. Since we might basically get the might in type A and B, C and D more for support, so keep that as is. Weapon, always blast adapter. Helmet, we're gonna use Call of Deep. Call of Deep is a fantastic supercharge, hits very hard, and it can even get the nice effect from Quizlet that you'll see a little bit later on. But yeah, Call of Deep is one of the versions of this build. It's pretty much getting Call of Deep back as quick as possible, so definitely want this head socket to make that happen. Neck is Excellent Might because we're might is DPS. Back is Berserker because 10% damage increase. Phenomenal. Chest, Penetrating Strikes. Now you can make the argument if you want to put the Power Efficiency in, which is 5%, 5% less cost when it comes to your superpower cost, okay? Which is going to help you when you're using like Ebon paired with the amulet here, okay? Which is one version of this build, by the way. Hands is max damage, and feet got dashing combos. Now, if you're not super speed, you can put on that deadly block for the precision of it to hit pretty hard. Or if you're not really gonna be doing your blocking when you need to do, or trying to block break other people when need to, hey, just put on Tumbling Master, call it a day. Okay. Now, pretty much the same trinket setup for even my single target build. Look, tier 3 pet, your buff trinket. I put on this Batman trinket because he is a separate cooldown as opposed to like the henchman and all the other stuff. He's a very hard hitting pet. And when you got him empowered, he does well over 500,000. I'm gonna let y'all know that he is insanely powerful. Not empowered, I think he's like still over 200, 300,000 still. So this is a fantastic thing just to have. He has a very long cooldown, so be careful with that. That's why I just have him right there. So whenever I need a pop him, I pop him. But in the 4th slot, we have our henchman / backup, which we're going to substitute out with our orbital supply drop with, you know, other artifacts right there to pair with them. Now, in terms of our artifact setup, as a baseline, we're going to do this. Transformation cards pretty much going to be stable, always going to be on us. Quizlet is a nice thing if you're hitting the supercharge. It's a nice base damage as well, especially if you cannot use the amulet for whatever reason. Maybe you don't have the healer for it, and maybe even with a decent healer you're still dying, or there's too much stuff, you're not very high geared, whatever the case may be, the amulet's too dangerous for you, then just throw in the Quizlet, okay? And then you have Ebon Shadow. Now this is very good. It's like the amulet, but you don't really have the I'm going to die if I use this. You just have the I can't hit anything when I use this problem. But normally with power it's pretty easy to keep up with it, so it's not really as bad as using the amulet per se. But you can use these 3 artifacts as a baseline. If you do have the healer for it, definitely throw in the amulet here, because you will get 30% might, that, and another 30% off of this. That's 6% might, and it's actually, the way it stacks is a little bit higher for what I was testing. At first it was a little bit over 50% might increase. It was like 51 to 53 depending. It was kind of iffy when it was on test server, but now it seems like it actually stacks a bit more properly, like at proper 30 plus another proper 30. So yeah, it's pretty good if you have this. And since we are just doing the ad clear, the hallways, this setup here is going to be fantastic for you. Now, another thing that you could do when I was saying about the whole supercharged spam is definitely throwing that Quizlet there. Keep transformation card because you want it to crit. And you put on the Scrap the Soul Cloak. Now this is going to have your supercharge going like crazy. I'm going to pair with the ally here shortly. I'm going to show y'all what I'm talking about. This goes crazy right here. You're going to be in Call It Deep quite consistently. And one hallway just from going to one set, one boss to another, you probably hit Call It Deep twice. That's gonna let you know this stuff can get you up there, you know what I mean? Now if you got EOG spam healers and all this stuff, you may even be able to hit it 3 times, depending on how fast or slow you're going in them hallways. But yeah, this is insane, y'all. This is absolutely great. I'm gonna let you know that right now. Now you put Eye of Gemini paired with that, with the Call of Duty, you can really just take transformation card out at that point, because you have Eye of Gemini hitting back to back for it, and then Quizlet's damage hitting in there too. Man, it's insane. That's all I'm gonna say. It's insane. It's absolutely bonkers, man. Call of Duty is a very hard hitting super, and the way you're able to stack with all the supercharged artifacts is insane. Okay. But just know your baseline damage, because you'll be so focused on Call of the Deep for those particular like supercharge related versions of this build, your normal loadout wests suffer significantly in terms of your damage parsers and the amount of damage you're putting out in your mid game stuff. Now, if that supercharge still went high, and you can make up for the mid game and have your average a lot higher, but just keep that in mind, okay? Now I have a strategist card just because you know how these ads work. Strategist card is like a very high boost in damage. It's pretty much almost mandatory at this point where you know what ad, just hitting the right partial ranges that you want it to be. Now, in terms of allies, as you see here, I got Superman in the combat slot. You could use Shazam if you want to. I'm having them in the support slot, so I get the additional might increase there, which is going to stack with the 2 artifacts with the E-bonds and the amulet paired together with this artifact. You're just getting your might higher and higher to the highest it can go. That's also why we also have Batman Who Laughs here for the potential stat buff that he can give us, or even the health buff to keep us a little bit more alive, the power regeneration, you know what I mean? It's really not needed when we have both those artifacts going on, but for just sake of his other ones, the crits are good, the health is good for survivability, and a buff troll boosting our might even further, and just the plain 5% might buff there is going to be phenomenal as well. So let's pretty much boosting up our might more and more as much as we can. Now if you do want to be more supercharged heavy or supercharged focused, you could either take out Batman Who Laughs or Shazam. I know some people like the control that Shazam gives us over it, so Shazam taking a higher buff for a longer duration. You could argue that case in point, hey, and just put in Black Adam with the power of a 10, where pretty much the supercharged generation right here, and that would do phenomenal for you, okay? Because when you'll see over in the loadout, one thing you could do is use something like Drown, not only to do the PI out of it to make your depth charge, which is one of the hardest hitting moves that water has to offer, just making that even further. It's harder to move the water has to offer in terms of like AOE and stuff, because it's better hard hitting than Shark Frenzy when it's maxed out, of course. But it does that without the PI. So you add the PI, you're just gonna do more damage, okay? But if you don't want to do supercharged generation like that, you just want pure stats and rely on that, especially with the upcoming EOG nerf. Shazam, Batman Who Laughs, Luck the Draw power of Shazamly family, you're gonna be good to go. Superman's pretty much gonna be next best bet in terms of damage, because everyone's seen pretty much the Sid and Show video. Batman Last. Well, Shazam's #1, Batman Last #2, and Superman's #3. So hey, we gotta get some high damage somewhere with these combat allies. You feel me? Now in terms of actual spec, I know this video is a little all over the place. Please bear with me, okay? Spec, I like to use rifle. Pretty much the best weapon to use if you're might based. In my opinion, you could use dual wield with that same tap that you do with the rifle tap, but it is a single target, not AOE like a rifle is every time. Now, if you're super speed, which I recommend you do, because super speed you're gonna do the most damage in the game on average, just because of the powers and abilities that super speed has to offer, especially for precision based stuff. Even light based stuff is great, but for your movement, get your go fast one, come down. If you're super speed, get tornado pull. You really need cyclone push for the AOE aspect of this. You get tornado pull if you want to do single target stuff, and come over here to get whirling dervish. Now you could get speed drain, and I would even recommend that you get these breakout mastery and all that when you hit about 500 or more skill points on your character. Speed drain you could get, it's not needed. I personally don't like it over pheromone bloom here, but I know a couple people that do like it. So hey, pick your poison. Essentially pheromone bloom can crit higher, and it's pretty much the same argument between speed drain and pheromone bloom as it is to depth charge and shark frenzy. The only thing with it though is that since speed drain has multiple ticks, you have to make every single last one crit in order for it to do more damage than pheromone bloom. But pheromone bloom just on its own, technically the way it crits, because that's a very high crit multiplier for some reason. It's very high. So in some of my testing, even when speed drain crit every single last time, pheromone bloom still did more damage on its crit. I'm just saying that for my testing. Take it with a grain of salt, as you would. But yeah, you don't really need speed drain. I would pick pheromone bloom if you want to have a more like supercharged spam out. Don't want to use Call of the Deep. Want to use like pheromone bloom and word of power. Keep your crits up there for yourself and your team, mind you, as well as Neo Venom boost. You can cycle back and forth between these two if you want, or if you want to be a little more power or supercharged efficient, use pheromone bloom to proc that EOG, okay, and like word of power to keep up your crits, or just Neo Venom boost to get a 45% damage increase. I think the crits for this is what, like 8 to 12%, something like that. It's around 10%. When in terms of actual stat points, you're in super hard focus like normal. Excuse my dog in the background. It is extremely late, but hey, I'm putting this content out for y'all, so appreciate that, please. You want to get your critical attack chance first, critical attack damage second. Dump everything into my power. If you have anything left over, I used to like doing an even split between precision and health, but because of the amulet amulet artifact and Ebon's artifact paired together requires so much health, you pretty much want to do health every time after this. And on this one, you can kind of see what I was talking about on my single target video. I mentioned that once you get to 300 skill points here, you get a much higher per skill point stat bump than you do on the others. So for example, right, you see if I do this precision right, I only get 2 precision more and 2 weaponization more. But if I go to this health, I'm getting like 400. Well, it's like 350 really, a little bit under that, 340 something. But almost 350 more health per skill point once I hit the 300 cap and go over that. So 300, 355, you're pretty much getting per skill point more. So it definitely helps when you have the higher skill points. Okay, so especially in the 700s like I am, you're able to have 300 plus and something else. Really increase your health pool right there, especially with the trinket meta that we have right now. That is only if you already maxed out your might power. You want to get your might as high as possible. I can't emphasize that enough. You want your health as high as possible based on this one, not only for the buff troll to make your might even greater, But for survivability purposes, since some of the variations of this build include us almost dying just to do damage. Okay, now for the baseline build that I like to run, just for more damage, it does pretty much require super speed here. But actually, it's Shark Frenzy, Cyclone Push, Depth Charge, Whirling Dervish, Robot Sidekick, and Call the Deep. Now, the few variations that you could do with this is take out Cyclone Push, and you can either put Bubble, okay, or you can put Drown for the Supercharged Generator, okay. And then you can take out Whirling Dervish, and you can actually put in Ebb and Flow here. Ebb and Flow does pretty good damage and allows you to still cycle through and do the same general rotation, which pretty much from left to right. You're gonna do Shark Frenzy, Cyclone Push, Depth Charge, Whirling Dervish for a few seconds, and go right back into it, okay? That's with super speed. Now, without super speed, you are going to do it like this. Pretty much the same thing, but every other rotation you're gonna hit the supercharged generation of Drown. And you only do that because the cooldown. So you do Shark Frenzy, Drown, Depth Charge, Ebb and Flow, do the combo. Shark Frenzy, Depth Charge, Ebb and Flow, do the combo. You feel me? And you see it's pretty much left to right. Very self-explanatory. Pretty good damage. Now this variation of the Loadout does not do that much damage. You are honestly going to be in that 250, 230, 250 damage per second when it comes to a parser. Now, mind you, you see the kind of mites I'm working with here. I'm at 209,000 mite, 405 CR. You saw my gear already. Okay, I'm still getting up there. Haven't been on as much as I want to because of everything going on YouTube. So don't at me. Keep that in mind. Okay, the numbers will be a lot higher if I'm in the current, Vindy gear bracket of might and gear. Keep that in mind. But as far as actual damage, you're going to be suffering a little bit on the parser damage, the per second damage, but you're going to make up for it with the insanely high damage of Call of the Deep. Now, if you want your parser damage to be high, recommend going super speed. Your parser damage is going to be perfectly fine. You're in that 270, 280,000 per second damage parser, which is still good, very respectable. That's pretty much, well, if you had elite gear from this previous DLC with the Sins of Black Adam, that was the top end of the damage parser you wanted to be at. The closer you could to 300,000 per second, the better, essentially, right? When it comes to the 5 targets right here in the House of Legends. Now, that being said, the fact that we're able to hit off with water, 270 to 280,000 on average is like the high end stuff. It will occasionally dip in more like 250, but you more stayed on the 270, 280,000 per second range. Okay. And the fact that you're able to do that, not with this one, that was with super speed. With this one, that's more like 230 to 250. Okay. And it's going to be a significant drop because super speed abilities hit harder. But with this one, you make up for it because you regenerate your supercharge a lot faster. So that's what I'm saying. There's different variations of this build I'm trying to bring out to y'all. I tested all the YouTube videos. I'm gonna be honest, they weren't that great. I tested all the ones on Discord chats that I can find, all the ones from in-game people, the ones on those couple of different websites that people make for DCO to say, hey, this is a good damage loadout. I tried them, tested them all, and this is the best that came out on top, okay? So, back to, where is it? There we go. Back to this one. This one's pretty much going to be the same, but because we're super speed and we have the dashing combos foot mod there, after each super speed move, which is going to be every 2 moves essentially, Cyclone Push and Whirling Dervish, we are going to hit our melee button to do the additional move that this does. You tap melee to perform a dash attack combo following the different super speed abilities. So we're going to take advantage of that entirely, which is going to definitely ramp up our damage quite well, if I'm being honest. Now we could do Ebon's Flow, Ebon's Untethered Shadow. I mean, my apologies. Thinking the ebb and flow. Or we use Quizlet. Either one. It's pretty much on you. But just show you a quick sample of it all. It is very hard to hit all these targets at once, especially with the dash attack that does, because it bumps them. So they spread out and not a lot of stuff hits all at once. So keep that in mind when looking at these parsers. I had to get extra help to get the higher numbers for the 270 to 280 because everything had to stay still and actually hit. So keep that in mind, okay? See, that's what I'm talking about right there. And everything's not hitting too. No, you also don't want to lock on to nothing. See, right at 253. Come on. If I can hit everything at once, this would be better. If I'm missing on damage for this dude on the right, 266. You see, it's getting up there. I need to hit everyone for it to hit those numbers that I'm telling y'all about, okay? It hits very powerful. As you see, we had what, 270k hits on the one, 283. You see what I'm talking about? You just have to hit everyone. It does very good damage. It's very respectable damage. It's actually very surprising even for water. This is good damage for any power, let alone it being water. So you know there's some good damage here. So it's definitely good for the hallways here, y'all. Definitely something for y'all to use. I would recommend, if you are going to be popping that Call of Deep, definitely use Quizlet, because how it says here with the refractal beam, using a 10,000 cost supercharge with Call of DPS, you do a high damage attack to your primary target. Now it is more of a single target beam, but it hits insanely hard, right? Like, mind you, Call of Deep, you're going to hit for a few million on average, okay, baseline. Then you put in the refractal beam. That's an additional like 400k, 600k kind of hit. Especially if you're empowered with the source. Where's that? The source shard with the Godway strength. You're hitting that like 600k plus range with this Quizlet. Now without it, because we're not using this, we're not pet DPS in this. That's an upcoming video and build that I have for y'all here shortly. Without it, this is still going to hit in that more like 300 to 400 on average, depending on what target it actually hitting. You can do more damage, like 500 plus K, so like half a mil plus, even getting that 600k range. But you have to keep in mind, it depends on what target you're hitting and how much health they have. So a lot of these targets that have that much health are more bosses, so definitely keep that in mind. And some of the bosses, their defense is pretty high, so you can't necessarily get that without like a controller debuff and you being empowered, sending in and supply drop and having your buff trinket going and stuff like that, and having all your mites set up straight. I know that doesn't include the Quizlet, but it more for the Call of the Deep itself. And from what I'm realizing, it seems like Call of the Deep, or essentially the supercharge you hit for Quizlet, if the supercharge does more damage, it seems to be a correlation that Quizlet does more damage. I'm not sure why, because Quizlet should be more like a fixed point of damage. But yeah, in my testing, I saw that Quizlet, like without supply drop, without nothing, it was hitting like 300k. I put supply drop down, hit way higher on my Call the Deep and critted. And Quizlet went from 300k to 500 and some k, the amount of ticks it was hitting. So it seemed to be a correlation with it. Y'all can test it and let me know how y'all's findings. But that happened 2 different times from my testing. I was gonna test the third one, but I need to hurry put out these videos, so hey, take that with a grain of salt, of course. But yeah, that's pretty insane. So that definitely put your supply drop down, buff trinket, all that. Treat Quizlet like it was one of your own powers, apparently. But yeah, and then for The other one was more supercharged focused, which you would actually change out your allies here. Like I said before, you put the Black Adam, and I'll even show y'all what I'm talking about here. Man, look at that damage that it just did, man. Whew. That thing was sick. But I pretty much want to show y'all that real quick. So I can show you the regeneration that you have. Mind you, you won't use strategist card and actual content, so you definitely take that off at all times. You're definitely going to be running like this is pretty much going to be your main setup. Transformation, E-Bonds, Shadow, the Amulet. If you're doing more supercharge focus, put in Quizlet, put in Scrap. You'll be good to go. But for the sake of the video, I'm gonna keep it like this. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it like this and show y'all that this mess regenerates fast. When I say fast, I mean fast. Like, it's insane. So, you see where our supercharge is at right now? Let me show you where it's about to be here in just a few seconds, man. I didn't let that Well Endeavor shoot long enough. Gotta pretty much go for 5 seconds with this. Look at that. That's what, 2 rotations of the loadout. We already back up to halfway. And we started at like probably like closer to 25% of super. So 2 rotations, 25%. That's essentially what? 8 rotations. You had another full supercharge, about to hit Quizlet all over again. And mind you, if I had Quizlet, I would have had more supercharge back. Plus you got the head mod, which is going to give you supercharge back. Plus you're more likely going to have a healer that's going to give you some supercharge too. It's just supercharge you regenerating yourself. Like, you see where I'm coming from with that. Like, it's going to be nice. Don't mind the damage on that at all. Do not mind that whatsoever at all. Because I wasn't trying for damage there. But yeah. I want to show y'all this. This is pretty much what the best that I can get water might based AOE to do. I know it was a little unorthodox, kind of all over the place. It is late at night. I got a lot of things on my mind, so I do apologize for the video not being the best that it could be. I may re-record this and try to pull out something better, but if that don't end up better, you might just get this one here. Okay, but without further ado, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out. Have me some constructive criticism in the comment section down below. If you want me to try a loadout that I may have not tried, or you feel like it's way better than this one, or these two, I should say, let me know in the comment section down below. Super speed variation, non-super speed variation, whatever. Okay. Without further ado, pretty much, I think that's it. Yeah. Peace and shalom, y'all. Stay tuned in. I got a lot of other stuff coming on. Might based and precision based loadouts for AOE, single target, so boss and hallways essentially. Plus I got the pet DPS for might and pet DPS for precision, both boss and hallways for those respective ones as well. Okay, so definitely stay tuned in for that. For water, I got nature coming up here real soon. I'm trying to get done with water real quick so I can move to nature, test that stuff out, put those videos out real quick. And then, especially with the new ally, Poison Ivy, then when Static Shock comes out, I'm going to retest Electricity, and we're going to get that on and popping as well. So there's a lot of stuff coming to the channel here real soon. Stay tuned in, put that notification bell on, set it to all, not personalized because you won't get notified that way, but set it to all. Like the video so it gets a little love with the YouTube algorithm. Watch my ads so I get a little love from YouTube, you know, a little kickback. And yeah, I think now, peace and shalom. Sorry, y'all.